Right.
filling in the
Yeah.
time.
I'm so sorry, Terry, for the
It's
delay.
okay. I'm fine.
We
I
have
know
some
this stuff
technical
happens, and Zoom is hard to deal with, and you're doing it on YouTube. Oh man.
Okay. So if that not work, I'm gonna do some last minute changes right now. That will be just changing the link.
Filling in the time.
Exactly. Yes.
Sorry, Terry.
So
It's okay.
here what we're gonna do. I'm sorry for the delay.
And Zoom is hard
Yeah.
to deal with, and you're doing it on YouTube.
Exactly. Okay. So just to
Why
update.
did I just hear my voice? The time delay, like I just heard my whole conversation
So
with Ari.
that will work. I'm gonna do some last minute changes right now. That will be just changing the link.
Filling in the time.
Exactly. Yes. So
It's okay.
Voice.
I did it again.
Already.
Even why did I just hear
We're
my
already live.
play the video? Okay. Okay. I think he's sending the link or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Must be hard to, figure out what the problems are going to be when it's not live. You got to wait until it's live.
Let's figure out something.
Hold on, everyone. We'll get there. We're getting there.
Yeah, we're live on YouTube already.
Gotta wait until it's live. Yeah, I just heard I'm hearing my conversation again. That's weird.
I am watching YouTube right now, the live one.
Hold on, everyone. I could here. How about if while everybody's waiting, I could show some pictures. Yeah, I just heard I'm hearing my conversation again. Jeez. Oops. Not there. Okay. Let's see. Okay, they're playing the video. Somewhere. Can everybody hear us, James?
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, sure.
Oh, everybody please mute. Okay.
Everybody,
hello. Are we live now? Is it good already? Yeah, hello. Yeah, hello everyone. I hope you're doing fine. Thank you for attending our event today. I am your host, James. And welcome to our first ever podcast event brought to you by ImageAppeal. With our first ever podcast event, we'll get to learn more about the influence of color and mood in design, the psychological connotation of every different colors, and most importantly, understand how they convey or influence certain mood. Together with our guest speaker, a top-rated, very talented, creative artist and designer. She studied for a Bachelor of Fine Arts and at Rosemont College and Associate in Visual Communication at
Art Institute. of Philadelphia.
Art Institute of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
The interesting part of her that the interesting part about her life is that for 10 years, she lived in an artist residence. It is a 16th century style stone water tower, and that inspires her to be a photographer and a painter to paint photographs of the medieval surroundings. And she's into creating art projects that nurture her imagination, including abstract painting, photo transformation, and artistic video projects. She's also actively participating in speaking at design conferences about the value of design and creativity. Let's welcome Terry Waterman. Hello, Terry, and welcome to Design Grid, brought to you by ImageAppeal. How are you doing today?
Okay, how are you?
Right, I am very good. Let me just volume up my speaker. Okay, here we go. Are you ready?
Okay.
Right. Okay, Terry, we have prepared something for our first segment. Right? We're gonna call it pick a pic or pick a picture to hype up our mood and energy. Right? Are you ready?
Which one I like better?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I will show you three different images, okay? No, two different images. And you will choose one and explain the reason behind why that image caught your attention and why is it better or different from the other picture, right? Okay, let me just share my screen for a minute. Right, okay, here we go. Are you seeing my screen now, Terry?
Okay. That's
Yeah, you're seeing it now?
this is the logo for Pick a Pick, right?
Right.
I can see
Okay, are
it.
you
Okay.
seeing?
Pick a Pick.
Yeah, right. Okay, this is set one. Okay, where is it? Okay, the one you can choose this image, Terry, and you can choose either this one and explain why that image caught your attention, or just explain your insight of this.
I think the second one did because it looks more organic. It's more interesting, the
Mhm.
lines, whereas the one on the left is more of a graphic. I can tell it was done, electronically. But the one on the
Right.
right looks more like it's more like organic. And
Right.
and it's like it's on a, I mean, is this computer generated? Do you know? Or
Kinda, I think, kinda.
yeah.
So,
And the way
which
the
one do
blue,
you prefer? Okay, which one do you prefer the most?
what was that?
Which one do you prefer the most? I mean,
The
which
right,
one's
the one on the right.
the right one? All right, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, let's move on to set two. Right, this one.
Okay. Well, the right side, of course, because there's more detail.
Right,
Um,
okay.
It would depend on what it is, because the one on the right, I can go deeper. There's depth to it. There's colors that are working together really well. And I like how it's bright in the front, and then there's some stuff in the back that's a little muted.
Right,
So
yeah.
that worked out well. The one on the left would work great if it was
Mhm.
used for graphics, like text in front of it or something, like a background. But
Right.
there you go. That's my take.
Or like an abstract background or something. Right. Okay, let's move on to our next set, our last one. Okay, our last one. Here, you can choose this between these images. There you go.
I'm going towards the left more because I like the colors. It's kind of an explosion. It's got
Right,
some
right.
energy to it. It's
Right.
almost like a constellation type of thing.
Mhm.
The one on the
Right.
right I like too. But it's like I feel like I'm caught in it. It's
Right.
the vertical lines. It's like, can I go through here? No, that's like which is the boundary? Yeah. But the one on the left is more calming, I think, to
Right,
me.
I
More
agree.
like mind expanding.
Right. So since we are talking about colors, You know, may we know, or what can you say about our theme on how color in mood affects our design? Hello?
I'm sorry, how the color.
Yeah. What can you say about our theme today on how color and mood affect our design?
Oh, okay. You're asking me like how the color.
Yeah, yeah.
It all depends on how it's being used. I think and who your audience is,
Right.
because like I don't know, would everybody pick the same pictures that I did? You know, like how universal is it that certain colors work? Because here the color red means error or alert, and over in China
Right.
it's a calming color. So it's a demographic, or
Right.
where do you live? And so that's what I've always thought about with color. Because and the other thing is what colors are used to convey more energy. Is it an explosion or is it a gradient? Like what are people using to convey that? And we all get kind of conditioned. So yeah, I think because it is important, but you have to know your audience in order to like what are
Yeah, I
you
agree.
trying to
Yeah, I agree.
attract.
Okay. Terry, I am very curious about your career, right? And may we know why did you choose this career in your life or path in your life?
Uh,
Do you hear?
I'm sorry.
May we know? Oh, may we know, or may I ask, why did you choose this career in your
Oh,
life?
this career. Okay. Well, the way I have like a real passion for changing perceptions of anything, and because of my hearing, I had more visual experiences in my life, because in order to survive or to keep up with conversations or keep up with what's going on, I had to read lips, I had to read the body language. I mean, it was all visual. So I was forced into wanting with this skill. But as a kid, art always comforted me. It was always like I grew up with a grandfather who was really silly, always always a kid. He was always like never went beyond 12 years old, and he was a really good artist too. And so I kind of fell in with that, and I found that humor is what motivates you to not take life so seriously. And I think everybody appreciates that feeling comforted by or comfortable. So
Yeah, I agree.
that was my thing, because people were annoyed that they had to repeat for me. So I had to make it entertaining for them to be around me and stuff. So that's kind of where it came. I was always thinking about how can I make this easier to understand, make it funnier, or how can I get them not to, get on me.
Yeah.
It's like a
Yeah,
defense mechanism. Let's see.
right.
Yeah, looking for
Right.
and they communicate.
Yeah.
The visually, I think, works way better than words. So it paints a
Right.
thousand pictures. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Since Terry, there are so many graphic design in this world, right? There are so many freelancers in this world, and each of us, I'm a freelancer myself too, and each of us has a individual definition of graphic designing. Okay, so in your own opinion, Terry, how do you define graphic design or graphic designing?
I think it's visual communication. Like a logo, it's obvious what it is, what kind of company this is, and it's for cognitive support.
Right.
Because cognitively in our brains, it's too much when you're going somewhere and you gotta figure it out. You gotta think about graphic
Right.
design makes it easy to navigate, to communicate what your intentions are, or who we are. It's an identity thing. So it simplifies the communication, which is what we all need.
Okay, so how about strategies, Terry? Like, what are your strategies for staying up to date on the latest graphic design trends in this world?
My strategy is for any like every part of my creativity, every part of what I design it's all about listening to the client and really listening and really researching and asking deep questions, because when they're asking for an identity, it's not just, oh, just make you look, just put whatever, just make you look good. It's not enough, because you want to communicate to your clients that, or your audience or your users, that you care about them and they're serving you. Like, how do I serve the public, the users? So I think it comes at, and it's like a lot of research,
Mhm.
and being aware of the typical. Like, if you design something that is a copy of somebody and doesn't really describe who you are, you're not doing yourself a real service, because then it gets lost in the crowd. So to
Right.
be mediocre, and that's the thing, like with any kind of design, if it's too much, if
Yeah.
your brain has to organize it from being too overwhelming, that doesn't work. But then underwhelming doesn't either. If you just have a plain old, that looks like it was made in Microsoft Paint or something, or even those templates that can go out, they all look like each other. So how are you going to be able to get your voice heard if you look like everybody else? So that I've been saying this all the time, because everybody asks, like, well, what makes you so special? I'm like, well, I let my mind just expand as much as it can, because you never
Yeah.
know who needs to
Right,
go
right.
that deeply into what
Right.
they want to brand themselves as, or identify
Right.
themselves as. It's like, how do you want to communicate to your like, what's the impression you want to give?
Mhm.
Like, you just want to look like everybody else. Well, you're going to disappear. So, unless that's the whole point. It's like,
So, for me, like I've said earlier, that I'm a graphic designer myself, and 3 years ago I started a Photoshop training, no? And I want to know, which design software are you most experienced with, or you started before?
well, Photoshop, I started back in 3.0, 1990s.
Oh,
You guys weren't born yet. But I used to work at a pharmaceutical company, AstraZeneca, and I started there in 94. And then I was doing like publishing for the NDA, whatever,
Right.
boring. But like the web stuff started coming out, and I was able to get Photoshop on my machine. So I'm playing, I was fooling around, like I was getting people's pictures and doing the photo manipulation and making fun of them
Right.
and all that. So I met a guy and learned how to do HTML. And what was annoying was that they're putting these pages up in all these different departments, and I'm like, it looks like shit. So that's what motivated me to get in there. It's like, I am in control of what you look like, not you. So, oh, it pissed me off.
Right.
I used to do these backdoor meetings with the web group, because I was still part of my group and they didn't know what I was doing. So yeah, I was always doing these little secret meetings, like, let's help these people look better. And it was cool because it was free, and I was able to do all these 3D programs, and like just it was a free for all. There was no rules. So yeah, I did all that stuff.
Was it hard?
Did I
Like,
get off track?
exploring
Sorry.
right. So, was it hard for, like, exploring Photoshop for the first time in your life?
Uh, I started out on an Amiga. Did you ever hear of Amiga? It was a computer that did all kinds of artsy painting, and like this. When I started Photoshop, it was really hard because we didn't even have layers, no layers. So if you made something, or even undos, really. So if you like something, you saved that file away and then worked on it some more, save that file. So you had all these Photoshop files, like, 44 of them. And you're like, all right, okay, I think it was this one. Is this okay? Oh my God, it was just
So you
so
have to
hard.
open each one of them,
What was that?
right? So you have to open each one of them, so
Right.
right.
And there was this guy named Kai. It's Kai, and Kai's Power Tools. And it was one of those 3D programs where you could put your mouse over a ball to like pick the colors and the textures. I mean, it was amazing. And he was a big influence. My husband did like 3D designs and stuff. So, but yeah, Photoshop I went into after I did all that, all the hard stuff, but it still started out with like a whole bunch of files. Oh, yeah, it was really hard in the beginning. You guys don't know how easy you have it.
Yeah, yeah, because 3 years ago I was like struggling, exploring this Photoshop because I started in, I think it was CE6, the version Photoshop CE6 version. I don't know if it was like 2018 or stuff like that. I was struggling at first, but later on as I more explore it, yeah, I was able to do stuff like graphic design posters kind of stuff, and yeah, that was very amazing. And
Oh, it's
I,
endless.
yeah,
It's endless, right? Doing things in front of, like, it's just never ending what you can do. It's
it just expresses my like creativity in life, something. Right. So
right.
okay, let's move on to our next question.
Okay.
So, do you know about color theory, or what do you know about this stuff?
Yeah, well, what I was saying before about the overwhelming and underwhelming, the color theory is all about like what colors work with each other. You know, you have the color wheel, and then you have orange is the opposite of blue, and red is the opposite of green. And so when I was in school, I remember they used to make us put certain colors together that were the same, brightness and opposite, and you put them next to each other and it actually vibrates. So when you put opposite together, it makes and so that's hard on the eyes. So there's things like that you gotta, but that's like a real basic,
Right.
of color theory. But it's all about making it easy on the eyes, pleasing to the eyes, and put you in a mood, right? It's a comforting mood. And yeah, it's like when the brain can't understand the colors going together, like if it's too much, it doesn't provide for a good experience. So that's what you always have to see in the end when you're looking at this. What kind of
Right.
experience are you having? Or is it like my husband has eye problems, so like when he sees things that are too much contrast or too busy, it hurts. Like people who have the accessibility problems. Yeah, so there's a lot of things that you online that you gotta keep in mind, because 20% of people are accessibility have
Right.
accessibility problems. So that's what you don't want to leave them out. But did I answer your question? I mean, it can be broken down even further, not just the primary colors, but it can go tertiary. I can never say that word, right? But but it's like, but I'm not a big academic type when it comes to this stuff, like following rules, because I don't think rules should be ever followed. I think you should go with your intuition half the time, at least, just so that when you try to work with these things, that you're not leaving out like a creative element that could work. Because I noticed that when I'm doing all these bright things in the back, when I add yellow ochre color, it's like a muted, it keeps the brightness. So because when you make everything bright, nothing's bright. But when you
Right.
add some kind of muted somewhere in there, it makes it pop more. So
Right.
that's one of the things that I come up with color theory. That's mine. That's my thought. But yeah, I used to be lectured about color theory though from some people when I was working in corporations. Like, shut up, that doesn't look right. But it does work for like healthcare kind of stuff. Yeah, you need to use blue. You can't use red. So
Right. Okay. So I am very attracted on the paintings at your back and behind in your background. Yeah, like is it? Can you hear me? Like I am very attracted.
yeah, I'm sorry.
All right. Yes. Fine.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I am very attracted on the paintings behind you. Yeah, it's kind of colorful stuff.
Which
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah. But,
I
yeah,
like
the
this
one with
one back here. This guy is like the
yes.
colors work, but what's
Yeah.
what's with the eyes? What's she thinking? Like what the
I
hell
think
is
it's
going on here?
she's rolling her eyes something.
Right. Or is she like, who's gonna, what are they gonna do next? It's like, or is that a bomb going on off behind her? Like what? So
Right.
yeah, it's like putting in those little things, but the color is what attracts. I mean, in the
Yeah,
animal kingdom,
agree.
parrots. I have a parrot. She's gorgeous. Got the green, the yellow, and everything. That gets the eye in when you use the colors that contrast each other. You know, and then you bring them in, and then you put a little humor.
Right.
There you go.
It was very amazing.
And she's not
Agree.
straight. But,
Yeah.
higher.
And Terry,
Okay.
since you've been a graphic designer your whole life, right? And
Mhm.
what do you consider to be your best graphic design project? And can you tell me why?
I like the one I did the last. Let me see if I can share my screen, and I'll show
Yeah,
you.
sure, sure.
Okay. This is, let's see, website where, Lord, thought I had it up. Darn it. Oh, I just have to get to Google. Okay, and then share. Sorry. And then, of course, these windows are in the way. Okay, so this is my website.
Right.
Under work, this is one of my latest logos that I created. The client was really interested in the abstract that I did, that the painting in the background is an abstract that I had done. And she really resonated with it. She's like, I love the colors. It really describes me. And I'm like, well, this is for, you have to make sure that you're not doing your logo for you, but it's to inspire others. Then I said, well, the abstract is inspiring. It's not, because it was for intersectionality. It's like all the genders. So I said, well, this will work nicely, because instead of using the typical rainbow to represent that, make it a little more interesting, so people aren't, because that's something that, you scroll past, things that look typical, and you want to take it a little bit further. So this is all about intersectionality of all these different, not just in a gradient, it's mixing together. So that's what really drove this, because I was trying to do a graphic part instead, and it wasn't working because it didn't have the the same effect as the painting did. And and we just put the words around the edge, and then and it was the first time I was able to combine my fine art with my graphic art. So like, I can inspire both ways. It's what I've been trying to do all this time. So, and then from there, she had the idea of taking parts of the painting and using it for their PowerPoint presentation template. So then I just made this for them. Like in the title, you just, some of the painting strokes from there. And then, and so they used, the different, like the gray boxes is where they would put a photo, things that they were, So that was fun to do. Of course, I didn't get to put the actual information in the slides, because they kind of lost it. So I was like, well, you need somebody to help you put everything in too. You can't just give somebody a template and it's like, go ahead, because they don't stay within the lines. Like, a little irritating, but it's all right. But yeah, that was one of my favorite ones that I've done recently.
Since
Did I take the share off? Oh, you want to see the other one that I did?
yeah, if
Because it was
you
in
have,
the
if you
same
have, I want to see
university.
the others.
This is intersectionality. They like the abstract I did from the other one, because they're like, they know each other, and they were
Right.
within the George Washington University. So they wanted some intersectionality, but they wanted to use the colors of the school, which is yellow and gold. So this is where I did it in Photoshop. And I kept the layers separate, because if I blended blue and yellow together, it would make green. So it didn't work. So I had a layer with the blue and a layer with the gold color, and kind of just made it till it finally looked right. And so that was fun to do. And then they wanted zoom backgrounds. So I took part of the painting. I don't know if I can make these. Oh yeah, I can. Yeah, I did like make it really light, you know, just so it's not competing with the person. So, whoops.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so
So, yeah, like I
unless you want to
said
see
earlier,
lyrics,
yeah, maybe later. Okay. So,
that's enough.
uh, so, like I've said earlier, Terry, that you've been a graphic designer your whole life, and I want to know, what do you hope to achieve in the next 5 years in your career?
I would like to continue to do some podcasts and kind of inspire younger designers because
Yeah.
I'm getting old and I don't feel like doing the work. No, I'm just kidding. I love doing the work, but I love more to work with teams. And right now, I'm kind of in a little crisis mode because my husband has medical problems, and I've been dealing with. I mean, I have been dealing with the opposite of what I do, dealing with healthcare and doctors, insurance. I mean, it is like just hell, you know. So, you know, here I am. This is what I do for a living, and then I'm living in hell this past year, dealing with all of this, yeah, this nonsense that they put you through, and it's no caring of your experience working with them. And even though they put in their commercials like, oh, we care, you know, we're, you know, this is all you need, and it's not. So you lose so much credibility. That's why I feel so bad, because you know that people in all these businesses want to do their best. They have their best intentions, but the system is so messed up that, you know, it's a shame. You know, they can't feel good about doing their jobs because it's so hard to do. You know, nothing's user friendly. You know, so and that's like, and that's part of what I'm looking to do, is to somehow help some healthcare companies out with the experience that they're making, and even the phone calls, you know, the keeping you on hold, and with the horrible music, you know, like things like that. Like nobody's telling them, like, hey, can you change this part? And I mean, I know they got a lot to deal with, but you know, I would love to you know, somehow make a at least a little dent in that industry, make it better.
So, yeah, I want to do more podcasting in the future, though, right? So, yeah, because you want to inspire more young graphic designer. Yeah, and myself, I'm a young graphic designer. I started a few years ago, and yeah, I am very excited and inspired by your tips and your stories, and maybe I can use it in my career instead. Yeah. So, yeah, and since I was started 3 years ago, and my first client, and I was given this project, right? And he keep keeping he keep what we call this, message me about this feedback, okay, negative feedback on my designs. And I was struggling to handle the emotions. Like I did my best on this, and like I want to question myself, what did I do wrong? And I want to know from you that, what would you do if you receive a negative feedback
Right.
from a
I
client?
love negative feedback because it cuts out. You know, like sometimes the client doesn't know what they want. They don't know. I mean, it's like they think they know, but it's really, really hard for, you know, they call themselves non-creatives. And it's really hard for them to trust you with their vision in their head, you know? And it's hard for a lot of people just to get that vision out. Like they think they want this, but you're like, well, what's the purpose? So every piece that you do, like if I do, like you have to make sure that they don't feel uncomfortable with you. Like you say, you put this out and said, because what I would say is like, even if you don't like anything, that's great, because then we know where to go. We know what to do instead. You know,
Right.
so it's not like don't worry about hurting our feelings, because that's the thing that you have to get over, is hurt feelings, because it has
Yeah.
nothing to do with that. You are not doing this for you. Like I know you want to look good for other people, but some clients are going to make you do stuff that you're not going to like. Well, then you don't advertise that. If you don't like that project, you know, put it on the wayside. But the feelings have to go, because when I was working with my husband, he taught me that, because there was this one client, he's like, you're making it all about the design, you know, I'm trying to make it pretty and all that, but it wasn't fitting into this, like it wasn't user friendly. I needed to open the site up because I was trying to put it in this rectangular area and make it all cinematic looking. And then it made it all about that instead of thinking like, what does the client want? They want more people to come in. So don't make it difficult for them, you know, make things work quickly and, you know, get to where they want to go, you know. So yeah, negative feedback, it's just, it's all about the customer. It's all, you got to do the SpongeBob thing. It's for the customer, it's for the customer. So if you think that way, then you will always have empathy for them and not for you, because
Right.
you have to be in their heads. Like you got to think about like, how are they seeing themselves? What are they offering their customers or whatever? And you know, how you want them to be looked at by their customers as credible and genuine. And you know, and so that's like, you have a big responsibility to do that for them, and that's why you charge the big bucks. I mean, if you're only charging a little bit, and you know, just make it look good, you know, you're not getting inside their heads or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you know what I'm saying? It's like you got to leave yourself out. I mean, your ego has to be just, you know, take a hike. A lot of times what helps me is just to lay on the floor on my back and just think of nothing, you know, because that is always when I get inspiration to do things. Because if I'm trying to figure things out, like even this week was just ridiculous with what I had to deal with. And you know, just having to you know, you're trying to do the right thing and everything's kind of getting at you, and then you're like, oh, I got to be creative now. Like, well, how the hell am I going to do that? I struggle with it all year, but then you know, you get to a point where you just lay down and just kind of just space out and just let your head empty, and then
Right.
and then something will come in. You got to trust it. It will, you know. But however, you can, you know, get yourself to relax. But oh yeah, feelings doesn't
Right.
matter.
Yeah. Yeah, because the moment I received the negative feedback, like I was like, come on, I did my best on this, and
I know. You're like,
like,
oh,
I was very
ow.
frustrated. Like, how? Oh my god! Like, yeah.
How can you not like it?
Yeah.
Right. I know. But your personal feelings about, like, you don't know, like, you have to be more curious about what's in their head. Like, even though they have a negative feedback, it's like, you know, you work so hard and everything. And I remember a colleague of mine told me, she's like, should I tell the person that I worked so many hours? I'm like, no, they only care about the final result. Don't make them feel bad for you. That's wrong.
Right.
I mean, you'd feel uncomfortable, wouldn't you? If somebody did that to you? Like, hey,
Right.
you hurt my feelings. Like, oh, well, I already paid you half up front. You know, I gotta use you. So, you know, yeah, you can make them really uncomfortable, and you want their experience to be good. See, that's why it's hard, because you got to put your own feelings aside and be like, this is professional. You know,
Right.
yeah, it's
So-
all about them. Like, yeah, because you're gonna find, like, if you get your feelings hurt and you can't get over it, it's just gonna drag you down every time, and it's not necessary, because you can be like, that might be what you did was really good and you think so. Well, save it for another design that someone else you might be able to use. There's
Yeah,
nothing
yeah.
wrong with that. You know, if you're promising 2 designs and then a third based on feedback, which is what I usually do. The 2, like the one that it's rejected, you put it over here, and then, you know, another client comes by and like, you might have it done already. Like, hey, I just made some easy money. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So that's a
And-
positive way to look at it. You know,
Yeah.
like, you can keep it. This is a treasure.
Right.
Yeah.
So
So,
yeah, I've read your description, right? You're a very successful graphic designer, and I am very inspired and motivated, you know, in my career as a graphic designer. And I want to thank you for that. And I want to know, what is the reason behind all of the success of the Terry Waterman?
oh, what?
I want to know, what is the reason behind all of the success of the Terry
Oh,
Waterman?
success.
Right.
Okay, that's a question. Oops, sorry. What makes me?
Yeah, what is the
It's just
reason
being-
behind all of the success?
I'm sorry.
What is the reason behind all of this success?
Oh,
of the
okay.
Terry Waterman?
I think it has to do with not caring what people thought of me, because as a young kid, I was able to make myself feel better about socializing and all that. So
Right.
I think it was just always believing in that, and always believing that my imagination was my uh, best asset. That's really hard to admit because you think it's not really valuable, except as making abstract paintings for somebody to put on a wall. But you got to put more value into it. So that was always my challenge. And I think living in the tower for 10 years and doing just creative work. I mean, I was doing graphic too, here and there,
Yeah.
for this nonprofit place. Not as fun. But I'll show you at the end. I have a little thing on the tower. But that inspired me to value the creativity part more. So, and I think, and it was a risk because, like, it's hard to make money that way. But I think
Right.
today, because everybody's on Zoom and stuff, you need content that's going to be engaging and funny and entertaining somehow. Because nobody wants
Yeah.
to hear.
Yeah, right. So this is our last question. Okay, this is my last question for you. Right. What do you think will happen, Terry, if this world is colorless, colorless, okay? No colors at all. So do you think your designs will still look good, or is it the other way around?
I'm sorry, can you say that
If the
again?
world is colorless,
Oh,
right?
color.
If the
Okay,
world,
colorless.
yeah.
Okay.
Do you think your
Um,
designs will still look good?
It depends because a lot of times clients will, back in the old days when they used to do faxes and black and white stuff, anytime you would make a color logo for someone, you have to make a black and white version of it too for
Right.
whatever. It doesn't really happen too much anymore, but it's like for printed work, I guess. But it depends on the color because you know how red translates to like a dark gray, and then like green will be like that same value. So you would have to see what the value is of that color when you take the saturation out. Like if you were doing a logo and then took all the saturation out and you can see the black and white version, that's the quickest
Right.
way
Right.
to fix your colors, if you wanted to work both ways, and then you could tell the client because they might have some branding colors. So if you have something that's, you know, too close to value, well, then you're going to have to like separate it or something. So they're not looking like one blob, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, color. So you're saying colorless as in like loss of brightness and joy or
Yeah, like the absence of color in this world.
okay. Yeah, okay. Not just in graphic design, but I mean, that's
Yeah.
how dogs see. Because I was walking my dog and I'm like, how does he see everything? That's got to be, I bet he sees motion more. There's depth
Yeah.
of field and all that. So the colors are distracting. So they actually see like deeply, I think, because when something's moving, they see it more easily than if you,
Right.
right?
Right.
So
Right.
it
Yeah, I agree with you.
simplifies. Yep.
And
There
yeah,
you go.
so yeah, I totally agree with you with that. So Terry, we're gonna have another question and answer, but this time the question will be from our live viewers. Right? Are
Okay.
you ready? Okay, since we are flooded with a lot of questions, and so yeah, guys, I am very sorry. We're just going to pick 5 questions. I think 5 questions, right? So I'm just going to pick. Okay, the first question is from Marco underscore 256. Okay, the first question for you is, can you share with us and describe a situation where you have to meet a tight deadline, or how did you deal with it?
A tight deadline. I've always made my deadline, so anytime I would schedule it, I make sure I have the time because anytime I'm coming up with like a logo idea or something, I always tell them
Okay.
2 weeks. Let me because you get the information and then you have to let it simmer in your head. You can't just start designing right away. Like you get it all and then you let it wait a few days and give trust that your intuition, your wisdom, all the things that you've worked towards will come in, during that quiet part. But then I always make sure I leave enough room because then I get real nervous. It's like, okay, are they going to like either of these designs? Am I going to have to start over? So you want to keep time allowed for that too. So give yourself another week after
Right.
that. So that's the best way. Like, don't let anybody, push you into a deadline if it's not that necessary. Because if they want to
Right.
you don't want to have like a a fast food hamburger instead of, I mean, something that's going to look better for you. You don't want to have something that's, going to be
Just-
rushed, and it's
yeah,
worth
just-
having that time.
Yeah, just take your time and doing your
Take
stuff.
demand that time to
Yeah,
give yourself the space, because that's what
Yeah.
creativity is. It can't survive without it.
you're right. Yeah, I agree with you that. So, the second question is from Maria Marquez. Okay, so his question for you is, what should be a designer's priority while creating a design?
The
What should be a designer's priority while creating a design?
prioritize, what should they
Yeah.
when creating a design? Prioritize,
Yeah,
is that what you said? Okay.
yeah.
Listening. I think it's like, don't even try to create something without listening and researching what that person, but what your client is asking for. And if you like, keep asking questions too, because a lot of times they'll tell you something and they're not really sure what they want. So you got to make sure you understand, because if you're starting to design and you got to question everything. So as you're designing, you got to be like, "Oh, wait, would that work for, wait, what kind of customer do they have?" Things like that. Like, you might want to ask them, like, and don't worry about bugging them. Just you want to make sure you're extra clear. You know,
Just ask
yeah,
question.
researching your competition or anybody that looks like whatever your client, like, always tell them that you're going to research. You're going to research your competition. You're going to research their business itself. Like, go through the website and see how user friendly it is. And you can say something about it, like, "Oh, it would be nice if you had this over there." you know. But
Right.
yeah, make yourself open to talking to them more about it. Don't be afraid to ask questions, because they want that. They want to make sure you know what you're dealing with. So if you're not asking questions, you're gonna make them nervous. Like, what am I gonna get?
Yeah. So, okay, that was
That's
great.
good.
And yeah, for me, I love asking questions. Yeah, I really love asking questions, like doing some designs. Yeah. Our third question is from Brian021. Okay. So his question for you is, what makes you a good graphic designer? Or what makes a graphic designer stand out from the other? Right.
And about from the others, I think it's being aware of, okay, so you're on your phone, look at your own experience and what makes you scroll past things,
Right.
and make sure you don't do that. Like, if somebody's being obnoxious, I mean, just look at your daily activity, and be aware, have empathy, because if you're gonna, a good designer will make it simple, and so because you want the client to go, yes, that's what that's it, that you want them to have that aha. So anything you can to get there, that'll work. Did I answer? Okay,
Great.
I think.
Right. Okay. The next question is, yeah. Oh, I really like this question.
Mhm.
Right.
Oh,
It's from Randy007.
okay.
It's this here. Have you tried any Filipino food?
Have
Filipino
I
food.
have I tried?
Any Filipino food, like delicacies or something.
I can't see. I'm trying to read your lips. You're below.
Sorry.
Was
Yeah.
that?
Have you tried any Yeah, I just want to. Have you tried any Filipino food? Right. I just want to copy this and put this on chat so you can see it. Right. Okay.
Oh, that's what I thought you said. Philippine.
I-
I don't know. Asian.
Yeah,
Philippine.
Asian.
I love pho. Pho. Is it pho or pho? I can't say these things right. Filipino food. Yeah, I mean, I had Filipino twin friends when I was growing up. I'm trying to remember. They used to make us go for their birthdays. They used to go to this little Chinese. I think it was an Asian restaurant. I don't know, but it was back in the 70s, so long time ago. But
Right.
yeah,
How
I
about
love. Yeah, I love all kinds, especially if it's hot. Yeah, open my sinuses.
how about sushi? Have you tried sushi before?
I love sushi. Yeah, there was a place near us when we lived in the tower that had the best. They had lobster. Oh my gosh, yeah, they had this like pink sauce on it. I don't know what it was, but yeah, it was really good.
Okay.
Yep.
So our last question, okay? So it's from Brad the Great, okay? Brad the Great, okay?
Okay,
Well,
Brad the
Brad-
Great. Hi, Brad the
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, his question for you is what is your color combination? Or maybe he's asking what is your favorite color combination?
Color combination, pink and
Yeah.
yellow. Woohoo! I got it there. Wait, which?
Can you
Oh,
explain
I have that mirror. Right,
Yeah,
a lot of pink and yellow in there.
I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah. You know why? Because when you're growing up and during Easter time, everything's all yellow and spring, the spring colors. It's
Right.
like, I love yellow and pink. And then that was like first colors when I started painting photographs. I made the whole castle, the thing that we were living in, all pink. And then yeah, it's just so cool, Pink's awesome. Actually, my favorite color is uh what do you it's like a watermelon, kind of like a peachy pink color. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and
I hope it
turquoise
counts.
attached to it. That pink flower there.
Right. So, okay, that will be the last question.
Okay.
And guys, I'm really sorry. And we're not able to entertain all of your questions.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's move on to our next segment, Terry. Are you
Okay.
ready? Our last-
Yes, I am. I guess I feel like I'm on a game show.
Right.
Like that picture. If you don't pick the right one, I'm gonna go straight.
So I'm gonna call it fast talk. We're gonna call it fast talk, right?
Fast talk.
And
Oh no.
this segment goes like this. I will provide you two things, and you will choose between the two. And take note, Terry, no explanation needed, right?
Eh,
Just pick between
just
the two, right?
Pick
For
whatever I like
example,
better. Okay.
yeah, yes. Like water or fire, you just pick either one of them, or man or woman, something like that, right?
Okay. I'm just saying what I want to say about it. Like I'm
Yeah,
reacting.
just
Okay. I'll
pick.
see.
Yeah, just pick one and just no explanation, right?
Okay.
Okay. And yeah, are you ready?
Okay.
You're feeling excited or something? Yeah. Okay. Okay. The first question is Photoshop or Illustrator?
Which
Photoshop or Illustrator?
Photoshop.
Logo or web design?
Logo.
Logo or web design?
Oh.
Logo or web design?
Logo.
Yeah. Okay. Figma or XD?
The
Figma. Figma or XD?
Figma.
Right. Okay. Premiere or
Yeah.
Filmora?
The
Premiere Pro or Filmora? Adobe
or
Premiere Pro or Filmora? Premiere. Adobe Premiere Pro.
Premiere. Yeah.
Right, right. Okay. After FX or Premiere Pro?
FX.
Right. Okay.
After
Canva
Effects.
or Photoshop?
I'm sorry.
Canva or Photoshop? I like Canva.
Photoshop.
Right.
Thank you for typing.
Right. Okay. Okay. Magic wand tool or pen tool?
Magic wand or
Pen tool.
oh
Right.
god.
Okay. 3,
I use the
2.
magic wand more, but yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Patch tool or clone stamp tool?
I'm sorry. You're gonna have to write all the questions.
All right. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's
Like
fine.
clone stamp
Okay.
tool or patch
Patch tool,
tool.
patch tool,
Clone,
yeah.
clone stamp.
Right. Clone stamp. Okay.
They're fun, aren't they?
Right.
Clone.
I,
Put it in the
yeah,
right place.
personally, I love using touch tool personally. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, next, being a photographer or an artist,
Artist.
right? Blue or red?
Red.
Yellow or orange?
Orange.
Okay, yellow or pink?
Pink.
Right. Okay, black or white?
Black, I guess.
Okay. Art museum or history museum?
Art museum.
Okay. Cat or dog?
Dog.
Night or morning?
Morning.
Right.
Right.
Night or morning? Night.
You
Is
said
it
night or morning, right?
Yeah. Are you a night person or a morning
Oh,
person?
morning.
Right, right. Okay.
Yep, my dog wakes me up.
Right. Cereals or bread?
What were
Cereals or bread? Do you like cereals? Hello?
Oh, cereal. Yeah.
Right, okay. How about sweet or sour?
Sour.
Right. Color or mood? Right. Okay, this will be our last question, right? Image or appeal?
Or let's see, appeal. Because you can appeal in other ways, not just image.
Okay. Okay, before we move to our very last segment, Terry, I want to ask a personal question, right? And if you don't mind, do you have a pet in your house? Like, yeah, I know there's a pet, you have a dog, right? I want to know his name or her name and
Oh,
stuff.
my Pomeranian is Bowie, and my parrot is Jade. I have a
Oh,
parrot,
you have a
Amazon
parrot.
parrot. I should have put him on my shoulder and meant to her.
You have a parrot. Yeah, that's amazing. I love parrots.
Oh no, she's
Yeah,
31
I have
years
birds.
old. 31, older than all.
31 years old.
probably.
He's older than me. Right?
Yeah. Oh, and she's like the same. You know, they don't look any different. I mean, because you know how their eyes are. There's no expression. They look the same all the time. But you know, you're pretty. Okay, pretty bird.
Okay. How about your drinks? What's your favorite drink? Something. Is it energy drink or is it like alcohol or something?
My favorite drink. Oh, drink. I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Clyde Mays whiskey.
Yeah,
Yep.
alcohol,
Clyde
right.
Mays. I started out with Jack Daniels when I met him, and then,
Okay. Terry, before we start, you mentioned that I want to know how you and your husband met or get married or something. Yeah, I want to know right now. I want to.
we met at what was it? Smoky Joe's in the oh God, Pennsylvania. Wait a minute, Philadelphia. One of those colleges, University of Philadelphia. Yeah, it's right near there. It's like on Walnut Street. Yeah, we met at a bar because I was going to
Right.
Rosemont and Villanova was next door. And me being a different kind of person, artist, you know, I wasn't too thrilled with the typical, those kind of guys. But yeah, I met him and we just had this conversation that out of nowhere, met at a bar. Yeah. So and it was funny because I was going out with two other guys that I wanted to break up at the same time. So he helped me break up with him because it was only for a couple months. I'm like, you meet somebody and then you go out to dinner and it's like, bleh. So, but no, my husband's very interesting. He's got a lot of empathy, a lot of wisdom, and he's been my inspiration for all. Like, he's the one that keeps me up, and now he's having a hard time. So it's just.
Okay. So I want to have some inspiration in my life. So anyway, right. So okay, Terry, we have prepared a special segment for you. Okay, for our special speaker, a very special speaker, Terry. Right, and it is called All About Terry. Okay, and
All
guys,
about me.
right, and guys, in this part we will know more about Terry. Okay,
Okay,
and
all right.
Terry, the floor is yours now.
Take away. I
Right.
have I just did a little presentation because I can't do this without showing you some visuals.
Right.
No way, I can't talk the whole time. So all I did was put in because I don't want to overwhelm you with my whole life. So but I will share with you my evolution of creativity art when I
Right.
lived at the tower.
Understand.
So without
Right.
further ado, let's check it.
Right. Okay.
Let's see. It is over here.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I can see.
There. Okay. Everybody see that? So this is back in 2009. I found this place, and it is it's a Woodard Tower, and it looks like a. What am I describing it for here? Let me just show you.
Right.
Someplace
Yeah.
different. So I don't know if you could see that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know our
Amazing.
So isn't that like when I first saw it, when you're standing at the bottom under that lower window, see
Right.
how tall that is? When you're
Yeah,
standing there and you're
it's-
looking up, it's like, whoa, it's like unbelievable how it feels
Right.
when you're looking up at it. So yeah, when I first went there, it was just like, holy cow, am I gonna be able to get this? But it's a rental. And it's like, am I gonna be able to get in there? You know, so but the lady, yeah, she's a curator from the Philadelphia Art Museum. And yeah, it was built like they wanted it to be, you know, this Tuscany style, but it was from 500 years ago. I forgot to put that in there. So it's a 500-year-old style, like from the 1600s. And so yeah, the lower two floors, like the bottom floor is the kitchen, the
Right.
second floor is the living room and bathroom. And then
Right.
the third floor was my daughter's room. They had a bedroom that took up the whole floor. And then the top was our bedroom, which was really cool because the ceiling went up in the inside. And then, but it was hard after 10 years because the laundry's down in the basement. So you're going all the way up and down steps all the time. So, yeah. So, and so photographing it was really fun because like the iPhone started having, you remember Histomatic? I don't know if anybody remembers Histomatic. It was one of those first apps that did all these cool effects on the art. So there's my two daughters in front of the barn, and there was a pool next door. We could swim in it. I mean, it was just the coolest thing. You could see the pool in the middle. But these are the kind of photographs I took when I was there, like every winter, you know, the snow. And yeah, and that's my little puppy. That's my dog Brownie. He's a Shetland sheepdog. So yeah. So then, so when I start taking these pictures, and then every winter, you know, the trees are cool. I mean, they're big. I mean, this is like coming from like the top floor, I think, the blue one on the right. And then the middle one is like, I think it's from the first floor. And that snow is like the garage. And then there's the tree over here. I think it's from the third floor. So yeah, it took some really cool pictures. But then 1 year later, got bored and I had to start coloring it. I thought you would enjoy this part of my my life. But yeah, like putting pink on the snow, on the castle itself, you know, and like you can see the blue. I mean, that's what I was kind of getting tired of because it's like they're all the same color, you know, like, and I have colors in my head all the time. So, you know. But yeah, and then like you see the blue and green one, that's like totally covered. Like sometimes I leave some of the photo coming through, sometimes I make it more solid paint, you know, make it more on the layers. And because I was getting like even using Photoshop, you know, I could do the layers there, but it's, you know, it's still flat, it's not paint. So that's what I really enjoyed doing this. So that's what I kept doing every year. I do some more, and this orange and blue one is one of the first ones I did because I put turquoise on because everything was all brown. You know, it was fall, and it just you know. So then yeah, I just added the blue oil paint onto, and then you go back with you know, Q-tips and stuff to take the paint off of where it went, and then you put the orange in, and yeah, and the one in the middle with the pink. That was really hard, the small one, because after I put the pink in there, like some of the colors cover like the shadows and the dark. So you got to go back and clean all the little branches. And then as I'm doing that, I see all these little shapes that I want to fill in. It's endless.
Yeah.
So yeah, just taking pictures. I mean, I was just getting bored and just adding color to everything. And here's some more. My girls. Now, this photograph up top is taken by a good friend of mine, Julia Lehman. I'm going to have to I'll put her on my website, but she took this picture for me, and then she was the one that actually encouraged me to paint my photos. So and I thought she was talking about like, you know, off-white color because they were doing all these antique things. She and her other photographer friend were doing, you know, a lot of, you know, cool stuff, but like I'm a colorful person, so I wasn't putting that together. But then I saw the one picture, I'm like, ooh, I could use red, right? And then put it around the side. I'm like, oh my God, I love this. So it colors. I mean, when you have a picture of someone and then you just put like a solid color around them, you see it in the YouTube thumbnails all the time, you know, the white edge and all that, you know, it makes it pop. So that's what I just kept doing because it's just a cool. And like mushrooms that came back, I think it was like a hurricane or something, and got all these red mushrooms. And then I just put the little white paint on top and making it orange and green in the background. That was like really, you know, just coming up with those colors because I didn't want to do the typical colors. So I would just experiment with more like different, like trying to get orange in there and where you would think it would be blue. So you just take risks and just try them all out, and then that's it. I know it's a little short, but I was just trying to get all my pictures together. But yeah, it's really inspiring to me to do this because I never know what it's gonna look like. There's some pictures that I've done that you never it looks like I had this one picture I did and I hated it. Like I started to paint it, it just looked terrible. And then like a couple years later, I would go back to it and start just like if it was like a crappy brown color, I'd add pink to that, like a real hot pink or a yellow to like a boring color. It makes it so much better. Yeah. So
Right.
yeah, so that's it's all about me in the tower.
Okay, Terry, do you have any message for our viewers right now, for like our young viewers, our young graphic designer who wanted to start their graphic design career? Okay, do you have any message for them, or like tips or inspiring them? Like,
My kids are homeschooled, and one of the things I did was take them and meet their friends that were homeschooled too,
Right.
at like a mall or somewhere, and then we would have a little drawing class. So that, oh my gosh, what was the question again? It just like as soon as I started answering it, I forgot what the question was.
It's fine. My question is, we have
Oh,
some.
message. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So for our young
But
viewers,
what
young
I
graphic
used
design.
Okay, so what I used to tell them all the time was to never follow the rules. Like the most important thing about being an artist or a graphic designer is your imagination. It's not
Right, yeah,
whether you can
I
do the
agree.
skills, because the skills are only as good as your imagination is. So if you don't
Right.
have like the ideas that like concentrate on that more. Do the creative things, like do like when you're drawing, just sketch and just let it take a life of its own. You don't have to think. And that's
Just
what
be
I think.
yourself.
Yeah, everybody's you go to school and they tell you to think of this and this and that. No, just listen. That's what was so easy about when you're a graphic artist and you're meeting a client. That's the
Yeah.
easiest part, because you go there and all you have to do is be curious, ask questions, and then that will put everything into place, because you can't just have a
Right.
preconceived idea. Oh, I'm going to sell this, I'm going to sell that. No, listen to them first, then react. So that's the easy part, because you're an empty shell. You're here to receive from them. So then
Right.
ask good questions, and when they answer, try to go a little deeper. So, and then once you're there, then you can think of ideas, then get them down. Start sketching them, and then but keep going, because if you don't like what you're making, who cares? You got to make mistakes to
Right.
make something good. So
It's okay to make mistakes.
I'm looking at you, and it's over there, but it looks like I'm looking over here. The interesting what Zoom does.
I mean, you're right here. You're right here. Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're below me here.
Yeah. Okay. So that was a great
Weird
message
world we
there.
live in. This
Right. And that was a
communication
great
that we're doing.
message theory for our young viewers who wanted to start their graphic design career, or being an artist or a photographer, right? So, my last question is for you is, how do we call this? For what if they're like, a client want a logo for you, want a logo design from you, okay, and keeps adding this revision and revision. So what do you do
Adding
particularly?
what? The-
Like revision, okay? Like
Oh,
feedback,
okay.
like yeah, like add this, remove this, and like for me it kind of frustrating, right? Like I've been adding this, removing this, adding this again, removing this. So what should I
They're not
what
the
should I-
artist. Like when you take on a job like that, they shouldn't even be, moved. No,
yeah, yeah,
it's. But how to handle it, you're asking?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
when
yeah.
they do that,
Because you said earlier, like they don't know what they want, so
right? Whoops, sorry. Let me do this stuff.
Yeah, good time.
Sorry. Okay.
Right. Okay. So like you said earlier, like the clients don't know what they want, so like it's kind of frustrating
Right.
from our end, like as a graphic designer, adding this, removing again, adding this again, and
Mm.
I'm literally confused and frustrated. So
Right.
for you, how do you handle it?
Well, every single thing that you create or that you design has to have a purpose. Like every single color, like you have to have explanation of why you did it. Like when I was doing my the one with the abstract art, I had an explanation for why I put it in a crescent. Why I put it on a mount, because this is global and you're taking a part of it and it's all about intersectionality. So when you're creating, like you have to keep thinking about what they want, and you have to like what part of the design it answers that, like what's the solution. So if you have an explanation and a solution for every single thing you do, then you
Right.
can cause it's less frustrating that way, because they know how they want to know how you're thinking, and to see if
Right.
your thinking is in line with their thinking. So it's all
Right.
about connecting to them when they and when if they get frustrated and you're like, I don't know, just say let's have a conversation, let's really dive into this, because I'm like, you don't want to be like, oh well, you're confusing me, because then that'll put them on the defensive. That's
Communication really is the key. Like, yeah, like really, you really need to communicate. Yeah.
right. And it's just like, let's have okay, I understand your frustration, let's talk about this more so we can make sure, because I
Yeah.
want to give you, like you have to keep putting it on them, like I want to give you the
Right.
the best experience, or whatever that you're making for them. So in order for me to do that, we got to make sure, like, I'm sorry if I don't know if you want to keep apologizing. That's not always a good thing. You know what I mean? Because it makes you like, because then they lose confidence. So you have to be confident, but you can't be arrogant. Always have the empathy. As long as you're being empathetic, you don't have to worry about how you sound. Because if you're asking questions like, I'm sorry, like so what did you mean by this? How is it making you feel? And then, oh, okay, so you're uncomfortable with this black line because of whatever.
Right.
But you also want to remind them of what their customer wants, that you're not like, you don't want to say, we're not making it for you. You're trying to make money. You're trying to communicate with your audience. So it's not about you. How are you gonna make money if you make it about you? So that's always, you gotta keep checking with yourself.
Right. Right.
So
Okay, that's all for me actually, Terry. And there you have it, guys. Okay, there you have it. And I hope you had fun with us. I had fun with you, especially with you, Terry. And it was
yeah,
an honor. It was an honor for you to have you here in our event. Okay, and
thank
it was
you.
I
I
was
really
inspired.
appreciate it.
Right. I was very inspired by the stories and
Okay.
the tips, right? And thank you for listening to Design Creed. Once again, I am your host, James, in this event. And I hope you have learned something new about how important and how the color and mood in our affects on our design. Okay? And we hope you enjoyed our deep dive, and stay tuned for our next episode. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Mwah.
Bye-bye.